Hey guys, it's Hanson. So we're back with a brand new video. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to code an anti-spam bot for our Discord server. So I tried doing this about like a year ago or like 9 to 10 months ago, and I wasn't very successful with it. So this is going to be I guess another attempt at doing so. I kind of have an idea on the way I want it to work. It's just actually making sure that it works just fine is the issue. Okay, so let's go ahead and first just set up our environment, set up our bot token. So the idea is what we want to do is we want to keep track of the user's message count. We want to keep track of their last message, and we also want to keep track of their timer. So I think the best thing to probably do is, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a map called users map equals new map. And I think what I want to do with this is I want to have the user's ID mapping to an object. So we're going to have the ID, and that's going to map to an object. And then this object is going to have their message count. So it could either be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's going to be some arbitrary number. And we're going to go ahead and keep track of their last message. And then we want to keep track of a timer, which is going to be a timeout object. Okay, so the reason why we need these three properties is the message count is what we're going to be using to check to see if the user should be muted or not. The last message and the timer thing is a little bit confusing. I'm going to explain it when we get to that part. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go and check to see if the user's map has message.author.id. So if the user is already in the map, that means that they had sent a message within the time interval. Okay, so that means what we need to do here is we need to check their message count, and we need to do some calculations with their last message to see if they are sending messages within a certain threshold. Okay, but let me go ahead and implement the first part and explain to you why we need the actual last message in the timer. Okay, so first, it's very simple, right? If you see someone that's spamming, you check their message count. If it's, let's say, equal to 5, if it's equal to 5, then that means they're spamming. So if they're in the map, then that means that they have already sent a message. So what we want to do is we want to get the amount of messages that they sent. So we're going to go and do const, let's see, message count equals users map dot get. So this is going to give us the object, and we're going to reference the message count property. Okay, and from here we're going to go ahead and check if message count is equal. Well, I'll do parse int because I want to use triple equals, and we're going to check if it's equal to 5. So if they have sent 5 messages within the set timeout interval, that means that they need to get muted. So we're going to go ahead and just do a simple, let's see, I need to get my role ID, const role equals message dot guild dot roles dot cache dot gets. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and do message dot member dot roles dot add to add the role. Okay, and that's going to mute them, and we'll send a message saying you have been muted. Okay, great. Now if their message count is not equal to 5, we're just going to go ahead and increment message count, and then we're going to go ahead and just replace that value. We're going to update the map. So we're going to do users map dot sets, or wait, whoops, let me do this. Let's do const user data equals users, because I'm going to reference the object again anyway, so might as well just store it inside a variable. And I guess from here we can do user data dot message count, update message count, and then we'll do user data. So we'll do users map dot set message dot author id, and we're going to reference the message count property. Actually, wait. we'll do this. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to replace the object. So we update the map every single time they send the message. Okay, so let's see. Okay, now if they're not in the map, that means that they have not sent the message. So we're going to go ahead and add them to the map. So we're going to do users map.sets message.author.id. We're going to set the object value. So we're going to do message count is 1. The last message is going to be message. Okay, so don't worry about the timer for now. We'll get to that later. I'll explain why when we actually get to the implementation. But we're going to set the map, and then we're going to go ahead. Actually, I'll just do this. Timer null for now. Okay, then we're going to do a set timeout. And this is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to go ahead after 5 seconds. We are going to clear the timeout basically. So let's say, for example, if they don't send 5 messages within 5 seconds, then they won't get muted. Okay. So we're gonna send. Actually, wait. Oops. We're gonna go and do. What was this again? Oh, users map dot delete message dot author dot id. Okay, so this. Let's just actually take a look at what's going on over here. So we have our bot on right now. So we have our console. Let me run my bot. Let me run my bot. Okay. Whoops. Let's see what's going on. Oh. Assignment to constant variable. Okay. Okay, so I got muted because I sent within the 5 seconds I sent 5 messages. Okay, so if I unmute, let me unmute myself. All right. So now if I go ahead, let me show you why this is not the ideal situation. This is a very simple solution, but it's not going to work fully because you can see right over here that they can easily bypass this if they figure it out. So for example, let's say for example, I'll send a message, right? So 5 seconds later, it's going to remove us from the map, remove from map right over here. Okay, so if I send, let's say if I do 1, 2, 3, wait, whoops, wrong one. Let's say if I do this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if I send one message, then I'm going to get it. I should have given it. Wait, what? So let's say we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So I don't know why that's not checking. Oh, whoops, I forgot to do one thing. We need to actually increment message count here. So that's actually 5 messages instead of 6. Okay. So we got to increment message count here, and then we're going to check if it's 5. So now if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, I do 5, it's going to mute me, right? Because we sent 5 messages within 5 seconds. But if you discover this pattern, you can easily bypass this, right? You could do 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, the remaining amount of seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that would mute us. See what I mean? So that's not efficient. So what I thought about was we're gonna keep track of the set timeout function, and we're going to keep track of the user's last message. Okay, and every single time, if their message count is below the limit, we're going to check their message. We're going to check the difference between their messages in terms of the time that they sent it in. Let's first do this. Let's do this. Let's do let fn equals this timeout function. Okay. Or actually, okay, we're going to store fn here. Okay. And watch over here. So I think up here, what's best that we do is we want to get the last message. So let's do const last message. User data. And okay. So what we want to do is we want to first subtract the last messages created with message, or the other way around. This is going to give us the difference. So if I were to console log this, you're going to see it's going to display it in milliseconds. So see, 150, 257, 443, 580, 589. So we want to check the difference in this. And if the difference is greater than, I would say maybe 500. So if difference is greater than 500 milliseconds, what we want to do is, okay, so think of it like this, right? We can easily bypass this, but if we are sending messages within 500 millisecond interval. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I remember. I know exactly what we want to do. Okay, forget the 500 seconds. We're going to specify this kind of a threshold period. So like I said, let's say if I'm doing 1, 2, 3, right? This isn't really super malicious because people can easily detect that. We're really trying to detect rapid spam, like sending messages within a 5 millisecond interval. So what we're trying to do is if their message difference is greater than, I would say maybe 2 seconds, we're going to reset the timer. Okay, so that way, when we reset the timer, they have a brand new 5 second time frame. So we're basically checking every 5 seconds to see if the user is sending a certain amount of messages within that period. But if the difference of their messages is greater than 2500, which is 2.5 seconds, we're going to reset it. Because if they're sending messages within this time frame, then most likely they're probably not spamming, because they're probably just doing something like hello, send 1, 2, there, 1, 2, and that's not really anything crazy, obviously, but you want to specify that threshold to reset their timeout. Okay, so from here we're gonna go ahead and reference this timer. That's why we have a reference over here. So let me actually show you this real quick. If I log timer to the console, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a message. Let me unmute myself. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So we have the timeout. Okay, so since we have reference to this timeout, we can clear it by doing clear timeout. We're going to clear the timer. Okay, so that clears the timer right over there. And we can also just log to the console cleared timeout. All right. And when we clear a timeout, we want to update the map. Okay, so let me show you how this works. Okay, so when we clear this timeout, this should reset it to 5 seconds. So the way it works is, let's say if we send one message, and if we wait 2.5 seconds, and if we send another message, it should clear the timeout. So we have an extra 5 seconds to spam, if that makes sense. So let's try this out. So let's do 1, okay, 2, 3, clear timeout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Oh, whoops. Let me see what's going on here. So yeah, that shouldn't have not happened, but this timeout over here should have definitely been cleared. Should not have muted. It should have given me a little bit more time. Not sure why. Oh wait. Oh wait. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to put this in an else case. Okay. Because it's still muting us. It did clear timeout, but it's still muting us. Okay. So let's try this. So if the difference is greater than 2500, reset the timeout. Don't do anything. Okay, for message count, well, if we're clearing the timeout, then we're gonna reset it later. So in here, we're gonna continue as normal. We're gonna check if the message count is equal to 5. Great, because if they're not hitting this if case, they're hitting this else case. That means that they're sending messages within like a less than 2.5 second interval. Okay, so we want to limit them. So we're gonna check to see if their message count is equal to 5, and if it is, we're going to give them the role and mute them. Otherwise, if it's not, okay, if it's not, then we're going to assign the message count. We're gonna update the user's map. So let's try this again. So, whoops. Let me unmute myself. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, clear timeout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, perfect. Great. It didn't, okay, great. That works just fine. So the reason why it didn't do anything is because, like I said, we cleared the timeout and it doesn't say removed from map. See, notice how, if you look down here, the timeout down here is not being executed because we cleared it up here because we're resetting it. Okay, so now when we reset the timeout, we want to do a couple things. We're going to go ahead and do user data dot message is going to equal to message. We're going to do user data dot timer. This is going to equal to a set timeout. So we're going to do set timeout. And we're going to do the same thing down in here. Okay. We're going to do removed from reset. Just distinguish that. And we're going to do 5 seconds as well. Okay, so this is going to set the timer. And we have the message. The user ID is going to stay the same. So we're going to go ahead and do users map.set message.author.id user data. Okay. So once we clear timeout, what we want to do is we want to update. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This should be last message. Okay. We're going to update the timer, which is set timer over here, which is a function. Okay. And I think that should be good. So now what's going to happen is another timeout is going to be invoked. Okay. And we're going to update the map. And let's see. Let's also update the message count as well. We need to do that message count. User data, that message count equals 0. Okay. Or wait, 1. Sorry. All right. So we're going to clear timeout. We're going to update all of the properties. We're going to set the map. Great. So we reset the timeout. So if we send another message, our ID is going to be in the map. Okay. We're going to get all these properties. If the difference is greater than 2500 milliseconds, we're going to reset. Okay. If it's not, then we're going to go ahead and increment. And we're going to go ahead and check if the message count is equal to 5. If it is, we're going to give them the muted rule and update everything else. Now, now let's say if they send the message for the first time, after after the timeout expired, we're going to set a timeout and then update the map. Okay. And I think inside here, we do delete the user from the message and we remove from reset. Okay, I think this should work. Let's try this out. So let's say, for example, send one message. Wait 2 seconds, send another one. Okay. Clear timeout. Clear timeout. Okay, I'm waiting 3 seconds. Clear timeout. Okay, but now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Muted. Okay, great. I think that should be good. Removed from reset. And now the timeout has been removed from the reset, but we've already been muted already. Okay, so if we were to unmute this guy and try this again. Okay. Clear timeout, right? Because we waited. Clear timeout. Wait, 2 more. Clear the timeout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Just like that. And yeah, I think this is a pretty decent implementation, to be honest. But of course, we can always change the intervals. So let's just declare some constants. Let's just do const message. Let's do limit. Let's do 10. Const, let's see, timeout is, let's do 10 seconds. And let's do const, let's do 1000. Okay. So the limit, we'll set that to, wait, whoops. The limit we'll check here. The time we'll check, we'll put that here. And for the diff, we'll put that here. Okay, so basically every 10 seconds, so basically we're gonna do a 10-second timeout. If they send, if their message sent period is greater than 1 second, then we're gonna clear timeout. Okay, okay. The limit is gonna be 10 this time, so we have 10 seconds to spam 10 messages. Let's see if we can do that. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Were we fast enough? I don't know if we were fast enough. If difference is greater than 1,000. Well, let me actually log difference and see what it's saying. I just want to make sure I'm actually doing this correctly and not like just putting a random value. So okay, so it should have muted us though. So here's the thing. Look, we look over here. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, we just have a, yeah, you can see right over here. We have a higher millisecond time, and because that's the case, it's reading sending the timeout. So for diff, you actually want to make this a higher number. Okay, so that way they can't just spam all those messages, because because like I said, they can just spam all these messages, and then they can just wait literally like 1 second and then spam again, because that'll reset the timeout. Okay, so let's try this again. Here we go. See right over here. It should have reset the time. Oh yeah, see, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Perfect. I think, yep. So yeah, my recommendation is to set this number diff to, I would say 2 seconds or 3 seconds, because this is what controls the reset time. If you don't have this, they can do the same thing that I showed you earlier. They can send 1, 2, 3, 4. They can wait 2 more seconds, and then they can just redo it again over and over again like that. So we need to make sure we're resetting the timeout. For the time, this is the amount of time that you want to check for the timeout. So after 10 seconds, we remove them from the map. So if they don't send 10 messages within 10 seconds, then they're good. But of course, you can play around with this. And if you wanted to unmute them after they've muted, you can just do a set timeout here. And you can do, what can we do? Message.member.roles.remove role, and then do a 5-second timeout. Let's do 10 seconds. You have been unmuted. Okay, let's try this out. So let's do, there we go. So we have to wait 10 seconds. So it should mute us in just a bit. There we go, we've been unmuted. Perfect. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. It took me about, I would say it took me about like 30 minutes to just really write everything out in terms of like the algorithm that I wanted to do. And kind of like think things through, but I think this is a pretty solid implementation. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about this code, if you guys discover anything like any bugs or any kind of like issues or anything that can be used to improve, such as maybe doing something else differently, feel free to let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.